Hello, it's Adinah Johnson, and we also have
Nick Johnson.
Alrighty, we're coming to you today with a series on forgiveness. Nick and I are working on a series on communication, and we're also working on a series on forgiveness. So we wanted to share these two series with you. And what we've realized is that there's a lot of information to unpack here. So we want to give it to you in a series. We don't want to shortchange you and not give you a full series or a full information, because these two are very big. Forgiveness is almost the catalyst of a relationship. Without forgiveness, you cannot move forward in a relationship in a healthy fashion. So we didn't want to be very light on that one. We want to give you the information that you need and that is needed.
Absolutely. If you ask, couples who have been in a relationship for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, one of the biggest things that have allowed them to stay together all that time had to be forgiveness. And it's extremely important for us to understand that we have to get to the point where we can forgive those who we interact with, who we're married with, we're in relationships and friendships with.
Yeah.
So we really want to focus on forgiveness and understand it's basically the cornerstone, really, of those really great relationships. So that's why we're starting here with this series.
Well, and not only that, but many times you have to even forgive yourself for some things. So that's going to be important that you understand. A lot of times individuals, instead of forgiving themselves, they say, oh, well, that's happened and I'm going to move on. Well, many times if we don't address it, we can continue to hurt our partner. We can continue to hurt our spouse, because we've all heard that's just who I am. Well, no, if we want to coexist and we want to live in harmony with each other, then that's just who I am doesn't work.
Yeah. You take certain things, and if it hurts you, you might, sweep up under the rug. But the thing is that if you don't deal with those issues, they always come back up.
Yeah.
Adinah and I, we've done counseling for engaged couples. We've done counseling for couples who have filed for divorce and things of that nature. And one of the things I can recall, even those who had filed for divorce, they would mention things that literally happened decades ago.
On their wedding day, 25 years prior.
Yeah, and those things will still be bothering them to that day.
Yeah.
So you got to think about it. Someone takes something that hurt them for nearly a quarter of a century ago, and it's still impacting them now. It's impacted their entire relationship.
Right.
And really it's placed a filter on it. So you really want to be able to go in, address those issues. And one of the common things that happen, if you find yourself in a disagreement with your spouse or with anybody, and that same thing keeps bubbling up, you haven't dealt with it.
No.
So it's really important to really, tackle it head on.
Yeah.
Really go ahead and figure out some very useful ways as far as skills and tools to be able to deal with those things, so that you can go ahead and free yourself from it and go ahead and continue to move forward in your relationship. Because really, if you think about it, it's almost like Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah,
Because,
reliving it over and over.
This situation happened, and then we constantly keep getting drugged back to it.
Yeah.
It's not really allowing you to continue to move forward in your relationship. So,
and you guys
really
are going to
important.
learn that on this channel, we are real big on tools and resources. We are big on, which is why we can't make this. This is why this forgiveness has to be a series, because as we were looking at it, there are so many different pieces of this onion to peel back. What we have to do first is talk about what forgiveness is not, because a lot of people don't recognize what it's not. And then we have to talk about what it is, and then we're going to give you processes to go through the steps of forgiveness, because it's a process, and we're going to talk about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we want to talk about what forgiveness is not.
Right.
Okay.
And this is my pen. You guys know I always have to have a pen, especially with a series like this. I'm going to have to check some things off. So
yes,
hopefully it's not a distraction. If it is, tell me in the comments and I'll do something else.
It's like a magic wand. That's what it is. So what forgiveness is not, okay? First of all, let's go ahead and talk about how forgiveness is not easy.
I'm sorry. Let me talk about this. Nick and I, we're not ones that could just read a book and know, like, our life just doesn't work like that. And it's we've had a journey, and not only are we qualified to do this, and we have the skills and the tools and the certifications, but we also have some of the life lessons, and those are the things that we would like to share with you guys. As far as that part of my book that I wrote, Butterfly Blue, The Pain of Infertility and the Power of Forgiveness, it talks about the process that I had to go through some serious forgiveness issues that I had. So I really had to go through this process as well. So I'm right with you guys, whereas I have gone through the process. Unfortunately, we're just not people that could just read it in a book and say, oh, I'm an expert on this. We have to get basically drugged through the mud on the topic, and then we could probably teach it effectively. That's just how we are. And honestly, we believe in self-disclosure, so we're going to share some of the things that we've had to go through as far as forgiveness. That way, we're not pristine and perfect and never had an issue. Yeah. I know we talked to someone, and this was years ago. I had a really close friend, and she goes, well, I thought you never had an issue. Well, it's not that I've never had an issue with Nick. I have issues with myself. But the thing is, I can't go to you or to someone else to fix the issue that I have with him. I need to go to him. And that's part of the process, is that we have to work it out with each other. Now, I can talk to a girlfriend, which we just don't do that. But I could talk to a girlfriend and process my feelings on something, or I can even go to a therapist and process my feelings on something, on a situation that has happened. But if I want to fix an issue, I have to go to him. I can't fix the issue with him without really going to him. If it was someone on the street, maybe someone I was driving past and we had a few words, then I could go through my process of forgiveness for that without talking to that person, because forgiveness is for me. It's not for them. That way I won't take that baggage into the next, time I drive down the street or into the next situation. So that would be for me. So I wouldn't necessarily have to go to that person. Case in point, if someone did something to me and they got, they ran across the street and got karma and got hit by a bus, I won't need to talk to that person because they're not here anymore. So I would really have to work on that with me. So we have to recognize what forgiveness is, and it's not forgetting, because forgetting is a mindless act. I forgot where I left my keys. I forgot what time I had to leave, so I missed the deadline. I forgot, where I parked my car, and I do that all the time. I forgot where I parked my car, so I have to walk through and make it, chirp and make the sound so I can find my car. That's a mindless act. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not forgetting. I think a lot of times people get confused with the Bible verse, and you're going to share the Bible verse with us in a second. But I think people get confused, whereas it says, forgive and remember no more.
Yeah, absolutely. In Hebrews 8:12, it speaks to that. We have to choose not to remember, because as we continue to just keep reliving that, we're actually allowing ourselves to be re-victimized. Because as we know that if you have to forgive someone, you feel as though someone has wronged you. So at that particular point, you do feel like a victim. But if you constantly think about that over and over again, you're constantly having to deal with that process over and over again.
Yeah, and many times those people have moved on, but you're reliving it in your head over and over and over again. And we're going to talk as far as the process of forgiveness, how to stop doing that, how to stop reliving it over and over again. That way you can heal. That way you can move on. That way you can get in a better place mentally for yourself. And for the people around you that have to deal with you.
Right, exactly. So as we have shared, as we were going through it, as far as what forgiveness is not, I think it's safe to say that we've said that forgiveness is not forgetting.
Yeah.
Okay. As Adinah said, it's a mindless act to forget. You have to choose not to remember anymore. So I'm kind of throwing that forgive and forget thing out the window. Also talk about how it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. If it were easy, we would not be doing this video. And also, there would not be so many people in relationships that are dealing with pain.
Yeah.
It's not easy. unfortunately, in relationships, we are hurt either intentionally or unintentionally by individuals.
And often, yeah, that's right. Because we are not only hurt by individuals, but we're going to hurt individuals.
Yeah.
Just because that's just the nature of it. We're going to hurt someone. Unintentionally, we could hurt someone. And if they're not honest with us, then how will we know that hurt you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not fair.
I'm far from perfect, and I know that I've done things that hurt you, and it was not intentional.
You're not perfect?
No. I'm not, ma'am. I like to think I'm perfect for you.
Yeah, you are.
But in general, I am not perfect. We're all flawed. And so what happens is that when those things happen, at that particular point, once again, we introduce the need for forgiveness. Okay.
I thought I was perfect, though.
Well, you are perfect. But
that's not true.
Yeah, that's the disclaimer. I'm perfect for you, but just overall, you're perfect. So there you go. So as far as this kind of recap, it's not forgetting.
Right.
It's not easy. You got
it's
anything?
A process.
It's a process.
It's not easy.
You want to speak?
It's a process.
Speak to the process, or just
that's a different video.
Okay.
The process of forgiveness, and so that's going to be important that we go through that.
Okay.
But also, not pretending that you are not hurt. That is not okay. If I hurt you, then and I come to you, I humbly come to you and say, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I hurt you." Oh no, it's fine. It's all right. Well, then that's going to be a problem, because if you can't even admit that you're hurting, then I might do it again. Oh, well, it didn't bother you. Well, heck, I'll just come and do it again.
Right.
And again, and it's, again, we talked about, it's like Groundhog Day. It's like going through the same thing over and over and re-victimizing your partner again and again. And they're basically hurting and bleeding and not sharing with us that, hey, that hurts me. I don't like it when you do that.
Yeah, I know. I talked with you about this, that some years ago, if someone did do something to me, I would tell them, I'm good. But then I realized, as you said, if someone cares enough about you to come to you and say, hey, did what I do bother you or hurt you? You're doing them a disservice and yourself by saying, no, I'm okay. So when that situation does happen and someone comes to me now and they say they hurt me, like, you know what? Yeah, it hurt. I appreciate you for coming to me and apologizing.
Trying to work it out.
Exactly. Let's see what we can do to go ahead and not have to deal with this situation again.
And to repair our relationship, possibly. And that doesn't make you a weak person. Actually, that makes you strong, and that makes you mature, emotionally mature, to say, yes, I was hurt by that, and let's see what we can do, because I love you enough to, first of all, you're not going to continue to hurt me, but I love you enough to try to work through this so we can get past whatever this is. And sometimes it just depends on what the infraction is. I mean, it may be something as small as every time I come to this table, I bump you.
Which she does.
Don't, but it could be I bump you and excuse me, did I hurt you? Well, yeah, you did. Can you try not to bump me? I know you got all this going on, but don't bump me. I need some personal space, or whatever the case may be. So if I don't if he doesn't tell me, hey, when you come in and you scoot your chair up, you pinch my toe, or you hurt me, or you bump me, then I can continue to do that, and you could feel that pain and that energy, and that could bother you, and then eventually it will build up till you explode. Doggone it, stop bumping me, yeah! And then I'm like, whoa, what is happening? And then it could be a major shouting match or a major issue, when you could have just said at the beginning, yes, you bumped me, give me some personal space, let's not do that. Absolutely. And that could have nipped it in the bud, and we could have moved on. And see, that's part of it. If we can just admit, okay, something is bothering me or something hurt me, we can get it out of the way and move on.
Well, at that point, that means I have to be vulnerable. And one of the biggest things about it, to really bond with someone, there are two components to it. It's physical closeness and emotional openness. And so for me to be emotionally open to you, that means I've taken down the guard around my heart.
To bond with someone.
Yes, to bond with someone.
Yeah, say it again.
To bond with someone, there's two components to that. It's physical closeness and emotional openness.
Right.
And when I'm emotionally open to you, it's going to allow, and that's the scary part, because at this point I'm wide open. So either you can choose to love me or you can hurt me.
Yeah.
So that's the risk that some people are not willing to take.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do to really have a successful relationship.
Well, and that's part of the problem. I'm going to hurt you before you get a chance to hurt me. And then again, it's like Groundhog's Day. It's like I'm pushing you away because someone else has hurt me, and I'm bringing that luggage and dropping it on your step, dropping it at your feet. And that's not fair to you. I want to not be in a position where I am not continuing to relive the pain that I have felt in my past. So in that juncture, I need to be willing and vulnerable to be open enough to say, hey, this has hurt me in the past. And look at you. And here's one thing too, it's going to be important that, and I know I'm going to sound clinical here, but that we don't transfer, and it's called transference, that we don't transfer the pain that we felt from someone else onto this person, this new person, because that's part of reliving it over and over, because I have in my head, oh, men are not this, or women are this, or, whatever it is in my head, all men cheat, all men leave, all men abandon, and that's so important that I don't put that onto you, because that's not your issue and that's not you. You haven't presented that to me. That's just what my experience has been. So part of being open about it is being honest and saying, hey, I have been hurt by these things. I am working on it, and going through the process to work on that. That way you don't drudge that up into your new relationship and into my new day. Because I can surely ruin a day if I'm still holding on to something from our wedding day from 25 years ago. That's why it's important to deal with those things.
Absolutely. So those are great points. Thank you. So first of all, as we just said there before, it's not pretending that you're not hurt.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not saying that we're condoning it, that the infraction happened. So we're definitely not doing that. Also, it's not about reconciliation.
No.
Okay. Just because you're choosing to forgive someone, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you have to reconcile with that person. So especially if this person is just an unhealthy person, you really have to be mindful that, okay, if someone has done something to hurt you, if you do forgive them, it doesn't mean that you have to go back if that person isn't healthy so that they can hurt you again.
Yeah.
So,
we've done that quite a bit where individuals were just not healthy enough to be in our life. And so I can forgive you, but I have to move away from you because of your healthy status, that you're unhealthy, and that just because I'm working on me doesn't mean you worked on you. So I could get in this cycle where you want to victimize me over and over again. Say, for instance, if we are in a situation, and just to bring up the issue that we talked about a second ago, as far as every time I come in here and I bump you, well, if I'm not willing to acknowledge that and do something different to change my position, then what you have to do, you can't control me, but what you can do is not sit by me.
Or I can wait to sit down after you've already sat down.
You can distance yourself. So you're not changing my behavior, but you're changing your behavior. So my behavior won't affect you the way it is. So that's part of not trusting someone who have offended you and not allowing them in that space in your life. And it may be to the point if I want to continue to victimize you, if I'm not healthy enough to be in your life, then you have to be healthy enough for yourself to move away.
Right.
To not allow me to continue to victimize you because I am not healthy enough in that space. And so you don't continue to be hurt, and I'm not acknowledging that I'm hurting you. Remove yourself from the situation.
Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean that when we say don't reconcile, that doesn't mean that you can't support this individual as they try to get themselves in a better space.
Yeah.
If they're going through trying to do the work as far as, okay, well, I want to be, in a healthier space so that we can try to reconcile.
Yeah.
But that doesn't automatically mean that, okay, I forgive you. And
I'm going to let you sit beside me. It could be you're not in a healthy space because you haven't even been willing to not bump me every time you sit down. So I may be able to call you. And see how you interact with me there before I come and get into your presence, because you may get into that same cycle to where you want to bump me again, and I'm not comfortable with that. You know, and it doesn't feel good. You know, if you can't control yourself, then I can't be around you, because that's going to open myself up to some things that I'm just not willing to be, bumped or hurt.
You definitely have to protect yourself in that situation. So I think we have hit a lot of points here as far as what forgiveness is not.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one thing we would like to encourage you all to do as we go through this series, please feel free to, first of all,
like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. If you know anyone out there who you feel as though would gain value and benefit from a series on forgiveness, please feel free to share this series with them, the channel with them as well. Please go down in the comments if you like as well. Any of these things that were thought-provoking to you, as far as, okay, I never really thought about forgiveness was not, condoning or reconciling, things like that. Please feel free to put it down there. Also
relieving the person of the responsibility.
That's a big one.
Oh,
I don't want to miss that one.
Did I not? Okay,
no.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No.
Not relieving that person of the responsibility. Like we say, we have notes, and we talked about it already, as far as if a person comes to you and say that they have hurt you, to not say, oh, no, you didn't. It's fine. So not relieving them of that responsibility and holding people accountable for hurting you and putting you in a vulnerable position, and not respecting your boundaries. And that's going to be another series that we're going to work with, is boundaries, because I think that's a big one. So we got the series on forgiveness, communication, and boundaries. Right.
That was the bonus one right there, as far as it doesn't relieve the person of the responsibility, because it truly is. I mean, there's hurt there. So it's not saying, okay, I forgive you, so there isn't something that needs to happen in that area, and working through it, and with the hopes that, you can definitely get your relationship where you'd like for it to be. Yeah. And protect yourself. You cannot allow individuals to offend you, and you can't trust a person if they're not in a healthy space. So that's part of not reconciling with the person. And I think a lot of times when people talk about forgive and forget and, we're one big happy family again. No, you may not be in a healthy place to be in my life. So therefore you have to stay over there. And I can forgive you. You don't have to. If in order for me to forgive you, you don't have to be in my life. I can forgive you and I can move on, but I can work on me and be in a healthy space. Yeah, absolutely. So, great. Well, I think we have that. Is anything else I missed? No. Good to go? That's great. Good on this one. Yeah, it's good on this one. Absolutely. And also, if you do have things that you don't want to put down in the comments, please feel free to email us. Our email address is going to be in the description. That's nikandadinah@gmail.com. So please feel free to send us any questions or comments that you have there as well. So that being said, I think this is the end of part 1 on forgiveness, and we will see you all later on. Yes. Thank you.